Hey y'all. Okay, so I told y'all a couple days ago that I was gonna get on and kind of like give y'all more of a detailed explanation of some of the things that were coming up in quarter 4. So basically that's what this video is. I'm sorry it took so long. Things are just so crazy at work and everybody's out of whack. The kids are out of whack, we're out of whack. Trying to get ready for the end of the school year is just crazy, and trying to do all the things that we're supposed to do. So basically, what I did was I sat down and I looked through what types of things they're going to be tested on for this next half of the year, what types of things you should be looking forward to working with, what types of things are more difficult to work with that y'all should start working on. So basically, I sat down and I went through everything that y'all were going to have to see, the kids were going to have to see. So first, we can start with skills, which is our reading ELA. Again, the kids are just expected to be reading the stories from the readers. Please remember that everything in the stories are decodable. So every sound, every word in the stories have been taught for the students to be able to easily read those stories. It should not be difficult for them to read the stories. And if your child is struggling with reading the stories that are being sent home, those are definitely the ones to practice, because those are the words that are more likely going to be on their testing. Again, our testing really hasn't changed. They're still going to be doing the multiple choice questions, comprehension questions, and short answer questions. Other things that y'all are going to be seeing coming forward is just like plural nouns, making sentences longer. So we're going to add things to sentences to make them have more details. Grandma cooks. What does grandma cook? Grandma cooks corn. Where does grandma cook corn? Grandma cooks corn in the kitchen. What kind of corn does she cook? Grandma cooks sweet corn in the kitchen. So basically, we're just making these sentences longer. We're trying to add more details to them, make them more strict and more visual. I try to make them think of everything as, okay, if you can read that and you can visualize what they're talking about very specifically, then it's enough. But if you're confused, it is not enough. We are also going to take. Sorry, it's been a long day. We're going to continue working with all of our different types of writings. We are going to continue working on opinion writing, informative writing, narrative writings. I do not change the criteria very much for the writings. They still need openings, 3 details, and closing, and I try not to change that up very much because those are the things that they have memorized in their brain, and it basically works for everything as long as I title it details, not reasons or whatever. So opening, 3 details, and a closing. So if I ever send home anything writing, that's a good place to practice. As far as grammar is going, I know it feels like it's been a while since we've seen certain things like circling nouns and underlining verbs and things like that, but those things are not gone. They're still going to have to do those things. They come back around in the curriculum, so just make sure y'all keep practicing things like that as well. Okay, so math. This is where things start to get a little crazier in math. It's the more fun units in math. We're working with things like shapes, and we're working with time, and we're working with money. And although it is a lot more fun, it is also very difficult for some of the kids to understand. I am going to start sending home different homework packets. So I was sending home writing, but I actually just pulled, created the homework packet for next week. The homework packet for next week is going to be a little different. It's going to be focusing on shapes and the things that we're going to be seeing in shapes. So first and foremost, we are going to be working with 2D shapes, counting sides, counting corners. We are going to be working with creating our own objects using shapes. They are allowed to create an animal or anything really they want, a flower, a boat, whatever, using the shape. So that's going to be something that they're going to see again. They are going to have to identify the difference between 2D and 3D shapes. They are going to have to be able to identify 3D shapes. That's very important. That's one of the things that they struggle with the most. I know you wouldn't think so, strictly because the 2D shapes and the 3D shapes don't look that different. But it's not really identifying the shape, it's more identifying the attributes of the shapes. For example, a cylinder can roll. It has two flat circle sides. A cone only has one point and one flat circle bottom. A sphere has no sides and no corners, things like that. It's just getting them in the habit of understanding those things. A good practice to do is if you see things in your house like a can or any ice cream cones, anything like that, ask them what is that 3D shape, things like that. Another thing that we're going to be looking at is open and closed shapes. So this is an open shape and this is a closed shape. It's exactly as it sounds. Basically, I am going to teach them, and this starts tomorrow, that if you put an ant inside of the shape, if the ant can get out of the maze, it is open. And if they cannot get out, it is closed. So we're going to be looking at that. And we're also going to be counting sides and corners tomorrow in class. So just some things for y'all to look forward to. They will have to be able to explain the different attributes of each shape. So like if I ask them how I know a triangle is a triangle, they have to be able to say a triangle has 3 sides and 3 corners. Okay. Eventually they will be dividing shapes into fractions. I know that sounds scary, but the fractions are not very big. They have to understand halves and quarters. So dividing things into 2 and quarters, dividing things into 4. They really don't struggle very much with that, but it can't hurt to practice it early. They're going to have to practice dividing a rectangle into halves and into quarters, and same with like circles and things like that. They are going to start telling time to the hour into the half hour. It will be read as like 10:30 or 3:30 or 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock or half past a time. And they will have to identify like the digital time. So it'll say 10 o'clock and they have to identify 10.00, or it will be on an actual clock with the clock hands. And that is what they tend to struggle with. Not necessarily to the hour, but to the half past. They'll either go in the wrong direction. They'll go, like if it's 5:30, they'll say 6 o'clock, or they'll say 4:30 or something like that. They struggle there. They will also be counting up to 120. So this is the final step in first grade, counting up to 120 in order, up and down. So they have to be able to say 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. They have to be able to count down. It's not verbal. I'm not going to call them up to me and ask them to count to 120, but they're going to start working with numbers up to 120. And that's adding, subtracting, things like that. Sorry, I'm flipping through their stuff to make sure I tell you everything. We are going to go back around to word problems. Adding and subtracting with word problems. The word problems don't really get very large inside in numbers. And they're also going to have to count the value of a set of coins. So lots of kids really understand the difference in the coins. They can see the sizes, they can see the colors. The issue comes in is that on all of our work in our curriculum, the coins do not appear in color, so they have trouble, and the sizes don't really show very much of a difference. So it's a little difficult for them to differentiate in that. Those are the main things that you're going to be seeing for the rest of the year: time, money, shapes. Shapes is so much fun, and I love to teach shapes, but it is also very important that they understand shapes, because shapes are something that they're going to use for the rest of their life, including money and time. So although it is the fun stuff, it is also the extremely important stuff that we can't let slip over just yet. So The next thing that we're going to be doing, we're going to be starting a new unit in guidebooks called Duck for President. And basically it just talks about the jobs of a president, the jobs of a leader, what a leader does, things of that sort. Working in writings and things like that. Guidebooks is kind of a spinoff of our skills lessons. It just focuses on specific units and books that we focus on. And so we're kind of going to be doing things like that, talking about the president, the job of the president, the job of a leader. What does it mean to be a leader? How can we be a better leader? Things like that. And last but definitely not least, we are in our final science. It is a long day. Okay. So, we're going to be working in our final science unit. Our final science unit is Spinning Earth. Spinning Earth focuses on the difference in the sky on different sides of the world. So, today we focused on the Earth. So we're talking about Sai and his grandmother and how when Sai calls her, it's daytime, but for her it's nighttime. So today I pulled out the globe and we pulled out my phone and we shined the light on it to be the sun. And we rotated and we looked at the side that was bright and the side that was dark. And we talked about the tilt of the Earth and things like that. And I tend to throw in really fun things that relate to those topics. Yesterday I I need to go to bed. I taught them about the aurora borealis and like the northern lights and things like that, how those phenomenons happen and they're not really seen unless you travel to these certain parts of the earth, kind of exploring their brain a little bit. And then today we talked about Alaska and how Alaska sits in 67 days of darkness, which is why some of them probably came home and told you about 67 days of darkness, because I told them if they remembered that fact, they would get a reward. So just some things like that. Please remember that although we do not give specific test at this moment, I'm not saying that it won't happen. There is a very big chance that we will start giving tests in science. As of now, we take activities from their units for grades. So please make sure that you talk to your children about still putting in their best effort when they're doing their activities and their work in class, because those things do still count. They are still important. And really, y'all, that's it. I know that was a mouthful. I know that was a lot, but I just wanted to let y'all know what was coming so that y'all know what y'all could be working on. The reading scores have improved drastically since we came back from Christmas. I'm very impressed. I've been progress monitoring like crazy. Every single day I pull 2 groups in guided reading and they are just like blowing me away. So whatever y'all are doing, it is working. Please make sure you keep doing whatever you're doing. Also, they took a math benchmark today and we scored a 77.8%, which is great because if you ask them their goal, they're going to say 80%. So we were right there. So they did a fantastic job. They are moving along very, very nicely. I was very impressed with their benchmarks. Their math tests have been fantastic. So those are just some things that we could work on. And really, those are the things that are going to end out our first grade year. Shapes, time, money, and just reading. Reading. And of course, we're still going to be doing some writings, but those just kind of come throughout the unit, and I will let y'all know more about those the closer that they get. They have had exposure to all of our writings, opinion, informative, narrative. We've done all of it at this point. I try to get them to do their writing journal every day in class, so they should have a pretty good grasp on writing. Wow. That's enough. I'm going to go ahead and go to bed. All right, guys. So if you have any other questions, just go ahead and shoot me a message, and I will be sure to keep my phone on me. If you need me to send home any extra work or if there's anything you need me to do, please let me know, and I will be sure to have everything ready. I'm going to try to get some stuff prepared for Parent Teacher Conference, and I will see y'all very soon. Thanks, y'all.